Hello, Gold Derby. This is going to be our final slugfest before the Oscars, which are going to be on Sunday, March 27th on ABC. I am Marcus James Dixon. I'm here with Daniel Montgomery and Denton Davidson. And for the most part, I think we have a general idea of what's going to win on Oscar night, but there are a few categories where we don't. I think we should just start with Best Picture and then move our way down. Daniel, I'll go with you first. I think you had Power of the Dog for a long time. Did you make the switch to CODA or not?
I did. Yeah, and I was always like keeping an open mind. Everyone was like, "Oh, CODA wins SAG award. It's gonna, it's the surge." And I'm like, it's too early to tell. Let's, I was gonna keep Power of the Dog because then Power of the Dog won BAFTA. It won our Gold Derby awards pretty handily. And so I'm like, let's see what happens at these next awards. But then at BAFTA, CODA beat Power of the Dog for screenplay. I think that was the canary in the coal mine. That was like, okay. I still predicted Power of the Dog for PGA, but I was like, that's where I felt like the momentum turning. And then CODA won PGA, then I made the jump.
But wouldn't you feel stupid? You had Power of the Dog the whole time. If you switch it a few days before, and then what if Power of the Dog still wins?
That's never a helpful way. Like I have made prediction changes that went from right to wrong, that went from wrong to right, that went from wrong to wrong. So it's I can only read and keep an open mind and sort of, if I get too stuck into one thing and have to defend it with my life, then it's bad. I'll be happy if either wins. I love both movies.
Denton, what about you? What do you think is winning? And what Daniel just said, what do you hope wins? Is your heart in one place or the other?
No, my heart's not in one place or the other. I would be fine with either of these winning. I liked both movies. I think the SAG and PGA combo is just so difficult to overlook. Apollo 13 won both, and then lost Best Picture to Braveheart. And Little Miss Sunshine won both, and they also lost Best Picture. So, but it's rare. It's very rare for that to happen. CODA is a heartwarming film, so it sort of feels a Little Miss Sunshiny. So I don't know if it's completely out of the woods for Best Picture, but it's really difficult for me to ignore those odds. And I also agree with Daniel about that BAFTA screenplay. I mean, if that's winning screenplay at BAFTA, people are starting to watch and latch onto this momentum.
I also made the switch to CODA. It was also my favorite movie of the year, so I kind of have a personal stake in this. I really want CODA to win, but I could still see Power of the Dog doing it. I mean, look, CODA missed directing and editing. And since the creation of the editing award, I think it was 87 years ago, no movie has missed both of those and won. But the flip side of that is CODA broke late. So did these voters, when they were voting on the nominations, did they actually see CODA yet? And if they could see it now, and I mean, if they could redo the nominations now, maybe it would get editing, maybe it would get directing. I think Marlee Matlin would get in supporting actress for sure. So maybe it's just the fact that it broke late that explains why it only got 3 nominations.
I think it did break late, but I think it's one of the most bizarre late breaks of all time because I think it was the earliest release out of the 10 nominees for Best Picture. And at the time, like when Apple dropped it in August, that's what it felt like. It just kind of fell on their platform and it came and went. And I saw it and I loved it. But like, it just seemed like, why did they just put this movie that they spent all this money for at Sundance just smack dab in August and just kind of let it sit there, it felt like. And then it just came back. It's like, I don't know why, like it would have broken late. So maybe it is still a mirage and that Power of the Dog is going to win after all. It's still a different Academy. A broader, more diverse, more international Academy, the kind of Academy that will nominate a Drive My Car and a Ryusuke Yamaguchi for Best Director. And, so that's a Power of the Dog kind of Academy, it seems like, but it's also the Green Book Academy. So like, either way, it's just so weird that CODA broke so late when it came so actually early.
And poor
Yeah.
Netflix is they just keep getting this close to Best Picture, and now Apple TV could just come and sweep it away from them and become the first streamer to take.
They keep breaking the glass ceiling, and then someone else climbs over them up until because the same thing happened at the Emmys. It broke through at the Emmys, and then Amazon and Hulu both beat it to drama and comedy series wins. So it wasn't until last year that The Crown finally won drama series and limited series for The Crown and Queen's Gambit. So if the trajectory holds true, we're going to see an Amazon Best Picture next year, a Hulu Best Picture the year after, and then a Netflix Best Picture in like 5 years.
Before we move on to the next category, is there anything else that can win? I mean, we're shortchanging things like West Side Story, Belfast, Dune, King Richard. There's a chance that one of those can win. I would say less of a chance for Licorice Pizza, Drive My Car, Nightmare Alley, and Don't Look Up. What do you guys have in third place? I have West Side Story.
I have West Side Story in third place too. I think there's a lot of love for Belfast, though. I just don't know how many number ones they're going to get. I just don't know if they're going to make it to that final vote. If there is multiple rounds, I don't know if they're going to, in this preferential ranked choice voting system, be able to get past Power of the Dog or CODA at this point. But I do have West Side Story third.
Mm-hmm.
I have West Side Story sixth. I think that's so out of it at this point. Just because, and it got picture, but it missed screenplay for Tony Kushner. West Side Story of all films missed editing. So it just feels like that movie is coming in here. Ariana DeBose, collect your Oscar. Congratulations. That's what we're sending home West Side Story with. My number 3 and 4 are King Richard and Belfast. Belfast has gotten in everywhere it needed to get into, though it almost never wins anything. It did win best screenplay from Critics' Choice, which was kind of a surprise over Licorice Pizza there. But King Richard has just been overperforming everywhere. And it won editing from the American Cinema Editors. It got the screenplay nomination. Screenplay editing, no directing. That's the formula. If you want a Best Picture nomination with no director nomination, that's what you get. That's what Green Book had. That's what Argo had. Will Smith is winning Best Actor. It seems pretty handily. So I feel like King Richard is third.
Well, Best Director, maybe one of the locks of the night. I don't know how much time we want to even spend on this one, but Jane Campion, Power of the Dog. She would become the third woman to win Best Director after Catherine Bigelow and Chloe Zhao. I guess we could talk about who we have in second, like who could possibly upset her. I have Spielberg because he's Spielberg, and at the DGA Awards, it seems like everyone that gave their little medallion speech singled out Spielberg. It was a Spielberg type night. Even though he lost, it felt like, that there was so much love for him in that room. Denton, who could possibly upset her?
Nobody could possibly upset her. I have Kenneth Branagh in second place. I don't think I really even paid attention because I don't think it really matters. So I have Kenneth Branagh in second, Spielberg in third. I could switch those around. I don't really feel the need to.
Daniel, what about you? And then just go ahead and move us on to Best Actress when you.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like it's Jane Campion and then a 4-way tie for 5th place almost. And it's because, it's not, to the detriment of any of these directors. It's just things lined up perfectly for her. Like the movies that are surging and have overperformed, CODA and King Richard, they didn't get the directing nominations. Belfast has hardly won anything this season, so Kenneth Branagh seems unlikely. Drive My Car, just getting that directing nomination was a huge reward, and it's gonna get international, and I think that's it. Steven Spielberg, again, West Side Story seems to have fallen off. Licorice Pizza couldn't even win the Writers Guild for Paul Thomas Anderson with no Belfast in the running, so I don't think he's going to get this. So really, Jane Campion it's weirdly a complete lock for someone who could be that Best Director could be the only win for that movie now. It's so weird. But yeah, she seems pretty safe. Best Actress, of course, is a very different story. That is not a lock for anyone whatsoever.
Yeah, but who do you have?
I've got Jessica Chastain, and honestly, the only tea leaf I could really go by is SAG because the BAFTAs didn't have any Oscar nominees for Best Actress up for their Best Actress. Critics' Choice picked Jessica Chastain, but they also reopened voting before the weekend when when they rescheduled it. So Critics' Choice wants to predict the Oscars most of the time, and you just know people switch their votes to Jessica Chastain because if they'd gone by the votes that were cast in like December and early January, we would have seen like Kristen Stewart win, and they would have felt silly, not because that's a bad winner, but because they feel like they're not predicting the Oscars. So I'm guessing that's what happened. But yeah, Nicole Kidman still got a shot. Coleman still has a shot. If they read any name, honestly, I'm like, okay,
Denton, what do you think for Best Actress?
I guess I would be surprised at this point if Jessica lost. So I have Jessica Chastain. After the SAG and Critics' Choice, I think she's solidified herself as the front runner because none of these actresses were at BAFTA at all. I think Coleman and Kidman had so many opportunities already. So to not capitalize on those puts them in a bad place. So I feel like Penelope Cruz and Kristen Stewart actually are in a better shot to sort of have an upset moment. And I'm particularly looking at Penelope Cruz actually as sort of this sleeper who gets those international votes. I have her in second, but I still feel pretty good about Jessica's chances of winning.
Yeah, Jessica Chastain, it's funny because she has this overdue factor, but she's only been up twice. And I was looking back through the history of this category, and the last person somebody won, you could arguably say because of the overdue factor, was Julianne Moore, but she had twice as many losses. She had 4 losses. So it's funny that Jessica has this narrative, but I really think that's going to help push her over the edge. And I actually have Kristen Stewart in second place. Again, everything you guys said about Coleman and Kidman, I could see happening, but Kristen Stewart is another kind of a late breaker. Even though she won all these early critics awards, she kind of stalled in the middle, and then she rose again at the end. So I could see them voting for her, even though the movie got nothing else.
I think it helps Jessica Chastain that 3 out of the 4 rivals have already won Oscars. And so by comparison, especially, she looks due, especially because the only other person who hasn't won an Oscar, Kristen Stewart, this is her very first nomination. And I think what happened with Jessica Chastain is that losing the Oscar for The Help, everyone knew that was going to Octavia Spencer, but then Zero Dark 30 had so much enthusiasm behind it. She loses to Jennifer Lawrence for Silver Linings Playbook. And immediately after that moment, it's like, okay, Jessica's time will come. When is her movie? When is her Oscar? And people were like, oh, Miss Sloan, is this going to be her Oscar? Is this going to be her Oscar? It didn't happen. Molly Theme, is this going to be her Oscar? It didn't happen. And so now that she's this close, it feels like, okay, there's a sense that it's now is as good a time as any to give her this Oscar.
Yeah, I remember on SAG night, I was watching with Denton and Chris, and when she won, we were all like, okay, well, the race is over. Like, she needed SAG. And I guess the next guy we're going to talk about also needed SAG, and that's Will Smith for Best Actor. He has really risen in our odds. I think he was already at number 1, but now he's just, secured the number 1 slot easily. Who do you guys have after him? I have Andrew Garfield in second, but at this stage, I can't see Will Smith losing. I mean, Daniel was talking about King Richard overperforming everywhere. It has to win at least 1 Oscar, and this is the best chance for King Richard to win an Oscar. Daniel, what do you think?
Yeah, I feel like this whole season, part of the whole King Richard overperforming, I think, has just been setting up the Will Smith coronation. It feels like he has been pulling that movie forward everywhere. And the fact that he even won the BAFTA over the British hometown favorite Benedict Cumberbatch in what turned out to be the BAFTA Best Picture winner, it's like, okay, it's game over. Like, this is just the foregone conclusion where everyone is like, even more so than Jessica Chastain, Will Smith, he's only been nominated twice before, but his nominations span 20 years now. It's like, okay, it's time. This is a good performance from Will Smith, who has, given us billions and billions of dollars, through, his blockbusters. And he's also given these prestige performances. Now's his time. So it feels like this is his Sandra Bullock moment.
And what about you, Denton?
Yeah, I mean, as Daniel said, after the BAFTA, it's sort of like there's no chance he's going to lose now, and he wants it, and you can feel that when he gets up on stage. He's been giving good acceptance speeches. He's been emotional about it, so I think that only helps his case even further.
He's wanted it for a long time, and I'm finally glad that he could get it.
Yeah. So I mean, I have Cumberbatch in second. Again, I don't think this race really matters who's in second or third, because I think it's over. I think probably all the acting categories that we're about to talk about next are over. I think Jessica Chastain's maybe the only actor who may be on a little bit shaky ground, but actor, supporting actress, and supporting actor are pretty solid.
I would agree with that. Maybe we could rush through these supportings pretty quickly. Ariana DeBose has won every single award so far. And Troy Kotsur for CODA has won almost everyone. I think he missed the Golden Globe, which was not even televised this year. Second place, I have Kristen Dunst and I have Cody Smith McPhee. I guess those are possible in an alternate reality, but Denton, do you have anything to add to this one?
No, I have the same in second place. Yeah, I would say Cody has a little bit more of a shot than a Kristen Dunst does, but it's pretty much wrapped up for both Ariana and Troy.
Daniel?
I think it's 99% wrapped up for both of these two. I do wonder if part of the West Side Story underperformance is that Oscar voters are like, well, we did this already. Not these Oscar voters, because I doubt many of them were alive to vote for the first West Side Story movie. But like, I wonder if there could be that sense of, well, we already gave an Oscar to this performance when Rita Moreno gave it. So that could just open the door a crack to an upset for Kirsten Dunst or even an Ingenue Ellis for the Will Smith momentum to pull her in. I don't think it's likely. I think Ariana DeBose is almost definitely going to win it, but there's a ghost of a chance. Troy Kotsur, I think, is a lot safer, just because he's moved so far out front, and then CODA has moved so far close to the front. So I think he's probably the safest of the three categories for CODA.
I was just thinking the other day, if Ariana wins, she'd be the second person from a Fox reality TV show to win the Oscar for a musical performance after losing that show. Because Ariana was on So You Think You Can Dance, and Jennifer Hudson, obviously, American Idol.
And another interesting thing about her is another first that not many people really have in mind. It took so long for Steven Spielberg to have any actor from his movies win an Oscar. Daniel Day-Lewis and Lincoln was the first. Ariana DeBose will be the first female performer to win an Oscar for a Steven Spielberg movie. So over the course of his career, that's kind of shocking. And
I always forget Mark Rylance. Like, I don't know why I always forget him, but so she'd be the third total, right?
She'd be just the third in Steven Spielberg's whole career, 3 Oscar-winning actors.
And then Troy, we should mention, will be the first deaf actor of all time. Marlee Matlin was the first deaf actress. Okay, so adapted screenplay. This one has a little bit of excitement to it. I think Power of the Dog was way out front for a while, and then CODA wins BAFTA, and then CODA wins WGA. Of course, Power of the Dog was not eligible at WGA, but still, did you guys always have CODA, or did you move CODA up, or do you still have Power? Denton, what about you?
I just switched to CODA, and it's funny because I had Power of the Dog like this entire season, and I had The Lost Daughter seconds, and then I probably in third I was thinking, oh, maybe Drive My Car for like those fringe voters. CODA was not going to be on my radar to win this at all, other than Dune. I had Dune in last place this whole time, but yeah, I had, after the WGA win and just the way it's been performing, I moved CODA up to first, and I think CODA could go 3 for 3 at the Oscars. 3 nominations, 3 wins.
Yeah, that's what I have now. I have CODA winning after having Power in there the whole time. Daniel, what about you?
Same thing. I moved them both after BAFTA or after Producers Guild, because then I had the Producers Guild plus CODA winning Best Adapted Screenplay at the BAFTAs, even when it wasn't nominated for Best Picture. It's up for Best Picture at the Oscars. So I was like, okay, it's gonna sweep these three. And oddly, even though this is gonna be a really unusual clean sweep, it will perfectly match the Oscar categories won by Moonlight, 12 Years a Slave, and Green Book. Is picture, a supporting acting category, and a screenplay category. All three of those films won that. Although those other three movies had a lot more nominations than this. But even Green Book had 5. But yeah, I moved CODA up, and I think it's gonna win all 3.
And then original screenplay, I actually switched this one today. Breaking news. I had Licorice Pizza the whole season, like I think everyone did, but Belfast is coming on really strong. So I switched to Belfast, and also because Licorice lost the WGA, and I know Belfast wasn't up there, but Licorice Pizza probably should have won the WGA instead of Don't Look Up, which won. I don't have Don't Look Up winning this. Maybe that's stupid because clearly, there are guild members that are also Oscar voters. So there is some love for this movie in this category. Denton, what about you? Where do you have Belfast, Licorice, and Don't Look Up in your rankings?
I recently moved Belfast up to number 1 as well. I think I'm sort of on joining this bandwagon that these actors that love writing are gonna, sort of reward Branagh for this film, and I think the movie has a lot of love for it, and this is sort of the one place that they can reward it. And Licorice Pizza and Don't Look Up both seem a little bit more divisive than Belfast in general, so I think it could have the edge here. Although I was surprised Licorice Pizza beat it at BAFTA, so I mean, this could go any way. And then, as you said, Don't Look Up won the WGA. This is a tight three-way race.
And Critics' Choice went to Belfast. Is that?
Yeah. So I thought it would go the opposite way. I thought Licorice Pizza would win Critics' Choice and Belfast would win BAFTA, and they swapped, and it didn't help me at all.
Daniel, square us up here. What do you have?
I've had Belfast for a while, actually, just going by the calculus that, the Academy in general liked Belfast a little better than Licorice Pizza. 7 total nominations. Licorice Pizza only got picture, director, and screenplay. So I've had it there for most of the time. And then, Licorice Pizza won BAFTA, which I was like, okay, maybe it's going to be Licorice Pizza now. But then Belfast won Critics' Choice. And then as soon as Licorice Pizza lost the WGA, so I don't think Belfast is coming on strong. I think Licorice Pizza came on weak. And it's just sort of going to be that sort of imitation game kind of screenplay win where like it's sort of the most liked movie in that category, and it's kind of the only place to give it something. So here you go. I like Belfast better than Imitation Game. That's another story. So yeah, I think it's going to be Branagh, and it'll be nice either way. It's like 2 very overdue filmmakers who have been nominated a combined like 10. Actually, now it's a combined 19 times.
Wow.
Neither of them's won an Oscar. So if either one of them wins, it'll be the Academy taking care of something they probably should have taken care of a while ago.
So cinematography seems to be a 2-way race between Dune and The Power of the Dog. When The Power of the Dog didn't win at the Guild recently, I think people that were predicting it switched to Dune. I know I did, because I feel like Dune is going to win a lot, and this will probably be one of the lot that it's going to win. Daniel, what about you?
Yeah, I think Dune is going to win. I'm predicting Dune in most of the below the line categories as almost by default. I feel like a lot of voters are just going to check it where it's like, okay, this is a beautiful visual movie, cinematography, visual effects, editing, yada, yada, yada. Someone in the forums, though, I did notice found out something really interesting or noticed an interesting stat. When Critics' Choice and the American Society of Cinematographers disagree, in recent years, usually it's the Critics' Choice winner that goes on to win the Oscar. And in this case, that was Power of the Dog, while Dune won the American Society. So maybe, but I don't think voters are thinking that hard about it. I think they might just vote for Dune as, kind of, it's their, beautiful visual movie.
Yeah, Denton.
Yeah, I have Dune in first in this one as well, with Power of the Dog in second. But there are stats like that make me a little nervous. That I feel like my 100% is in jeopardy. Because it could be the Power of the Dog. I mean, that was the front runner for most of the season, but it seems like Dune is winning more. So that's where I'm at.
Mm.
And it's interesting. One thing that could help Power of the Dog here is that, like, if CODA is surging out front in the top categories, like all three of us are thinking now, voters are going to be marking their ballots and thinking, I'm only voting for Jane Campion for Best Director, and I don't think anything else about her movie is the best.
Right.
They might be, they might want to vote for it somewhere else to give it another win, because her direction, she was directing someone. I think that could help it here, but I'm like 60-40.
Best costume design. This seems like a safe bet. Cruella keeps winning everything and everywhere. This is one of the few craft categories that Dune is probably going to lose. But Cruella, for the longest time, I just thought, I'm not going to watch that movie. I have no interest in that movie. And then I finally watched it and I totally understood where this costume love is coming from. She plays a costume designer and the costumes are so wild and eye-popping and memorable that she better win. Academy, she better win. What about you, Denton?
Yeah, this deserves to win. And I get that it's not the Academy type of film, but we've seen movies like Alice in Wonderland or things like that win production design or costume design. It's those under the radar films that are box office hits, maybe, but not, they seem below brow for Oscar voters. But in this case, I think she has it pretty wrapped up, unless they're feeling super snobbish, and then it could go to West Side Story or Dune. But I mean, I think the safe money is definitely on Cruella here.
Yeah, Jenny Beavan. I want to give you your shout out, Jenny Beavan.
Oh yeah,
Daniel.
I'm predicting Cruella. I saw the trailer more than a year ago, and the trailer would deserve to win Best Costume Design. Like I saw it then. I was like, well, that's next year's costume design Oscar wrapped up. The only thing I think that could make it lose is the fact that definitely more Academy members will have watched Dune and West Side Story. And like I said, they might just be ticking boxes for West Side Story. Oh, that movie looked pretty. And that could lead it to win here if a lot of voters didn't even see Cruella, which is very possible. But Cruella's won enough other things that I think it's just gonna keep going.
There's one costume where Emma Stone, she's wearing something and she lights it on fire and it burns away and creates a whole new dress underneath. I'm like, Oscar, let's go. I want to see that on the stage. I want Amy and Wanda and Regina to bring out that fire dress so we can see that, on the Oscar stage. Okay, film editing. Now, this is one that is causing people to rip their hair out. And I just moved to King Richard today for film editing. I had Tick Tick Boom in there for a long time, but as Daniel told me, that's not going to win. So tell me why I was wrong to have Tick Tick Boom.
It only had one other nomination, Best Actor for Andrew Garfield, and that's not impossible to overcome. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo upset to win this when it wasn't up for Best Picture, but even that had more nominations. I think it had like 5. So I just, even though I would personally vote for Tick Tick Boom for editing, I just don't see a movie with that little overall Academy support winning against these 4 other movies that have so much Academy support, and have that conspicuous kind of most editing, like Dune, the action film, King Richard, you have all those tennis matches back and forth. Don't Look Up has so much going on, so many characters, and so these are also showy editing pieces, and they have more overall support. So I think it's going to be one of the Best Picture nominees, probably Dune, maybe King Richard. That's my bet.
And Denton?
I have an upset here, and I don't know if I'm going to stick with it until the very end, but for right now, I have Don't Look Up still. I think that's the one people were talking about when it first came out, and then it's really just underperformed at a lot of these guilds. But if it's going to win anything, I think this is a chance for them to reward it. And I think some of these other films might be splitting the vote a little bit. Maybe I'm hope dicting, but my second place is King Richard. I feel like Dune's not going to win. I have this, for me personally, I don't feel like films over 2.5 hours should be winning best editing. So that's just my personal bias that I go with. And Don't Look Up is really long too. So by my own theory, it really should be Tick Tick Boom or The Power of the Dog that wins best editing.
Yeah. King Richard is 2.5 hours too.
Yeah.
Well, we are running out of time. Let's kind of go a little faster. For makeup and hair, I have The Eyes of Tammy Faye, and which, if you match up actress and makeup and hair, it's kind of a repeat of The Iron Lady and what was the other one?
La Vie en Rose.
La Vie en Rose. Do you guys both have Eyes of Tammy Faye? What could upset it?
I have Eyes of Tammy Faye. I had Dune for a while, thinking it was the best picture nominee in this category, so that would have the advantage. But Eyes of Tammy Faye has just been winning everything, even at BAFTA, where Chastain wasn't even up. So I'm sticking with Tammy Faye.
And Denton, anything else?
No, Tammy Faye all the way.
Production design, Dune, I think has won everything. Has any other movie even won production design this season?
I mean, Nightmare Alley won its guild category, but Dune was in a different category. I'm still hope dicting that Nightmare Alley can pull this off. It was my favorite movie. I wanted to win something. The thing that Dune has against it is like sci-fi doesn't really do that great at the Oscars generally. I mean, Arrival lost, Interstellar lost. There's a slew of films that of that genre that sort of didn't quite make it all the way up to the Oscar stage. And so I could see them going for something more traditional like Nightmare Alley or West Side Story, I think is also a strong contender in that category.
I think Dune is just so epic, and these sets that they created are so beautiful. Daniel, what about you?
Yeah, I think Dune wins this, much like Mad Max Fury Road did, which kind of also broke that kind of, sci-fi movie bias, anti-sci-fi bias here. I think Avatar might also have won production design, which was then called art direction. I think I can't remember for sure. So I think Dune has just been winning everything here. So I'm gonna stick with Dune.
Best score, I have Dune. This would be Hans Zimmer's second Oscar after The Lion King. He's been nominated so many times. What do you guys have, Daniel and then Denton?
I have Hans Zimmer. I was skeptical because he keeps losing Oscars for scores that I think were like actually better. Like Interstellar, I would have given him the Oscar for.
Yeah.
But he keeps winning, so I'm gonna predict him to win, and I'm thrilled that he's gonna finally win a second Oscar, even though I personally would have voted for The Power of the Dog score.
Yeah, I have Dune winning too. So Hans Zimmer all the way. I personally would have voted for Parallel Mothers. I love that score. Felt like a character in the movie to me when you listen to the music in that film. It changed the whole movie. But I think Hans Zimmer's sweeping.
Best song. A lot of people have No Time to Die, but I've had Encanto for, I think, since the Production Center opened. I think a lot of these voters they think they're going to be voting for Bruno, so they're just going to check it off. Denton, what do you think?
I keep going back and forth. I've had Dos Oruguitas for a long time. I think last night I changed to No Time to Die. I might change again before Sunday. I think, Encanto it's dominated, like musically, the Billboard charts. I don't know if they care. Billie Eilish is also really popular. This is a tough call, but I have No Time to Die at this very moment.
Daniel?
I think it could go either way, but I'm going Encanto Dos Oruguitas because of just the Lin-Manuel Miranda factor. Like, I don't think people will think they're voting for Bruno necessarily, but I think they will have Bruno in mind. This soundtrack, not just this song, or not just Bruno, also Surface Pressure, the entire song score has broken out in popular culture more than any soundtrack song score in decades. And I think they're going to want to give him credit for that. I think they're going to want to give him credit because he lost for How Far I'll Go. He also directed a two-time Oscar-nominated film, Tick, Tick, Boom. They might want to give him credit for that. In the Heights was also released based on his musical earlier in the year. So yeah, and he would finally get his EGOT, and he's like in the club, I think, more than Billie Eilish and Phineas are in terms of like film club. So I think all of that leans towards Encanto, but I do still think No Time to Die could very easily win it too.
Best sound and best visual effects. These seem like locks to me. Dune and Dune. What about you, Daniel?
Yeah, Dune and Dune. I could make a joke saying like, no, Free Guy will win visual effects. No, it's Dune and Dune.
And Denton.
Yeah, I was just changing my song back to Encanto. So yes, Dune and Dune for sound and visual effects. If anything has a chance, maybe West Side Story. You know, musicals, they like to give musicals sound awards, but Dune is just, it's too much.
And maybe
and West Side Story is the only musical, while there are like multiple action movies in there for best sound, Dune and No Time to Die. So there is the potential West Side Story wins as the apple in the bag of oranges.
Maybe Spider-Man for visual effects if they want to give the biggest movie in 2 or 3 years something. Best animated feature, I've got Encanto. It could also be Mitchell's versus the Machines. It could also be Luca. It could also be Flea, but I think Encanto is going to do it. What do you guys think?
Agree. I think Flea is the closest challenger, but Encanto just winning everything, including the BAFTA, I think it's just built up too much momentum.
Yeah, I think Encanto. The Mitchells and the Machines just picked up a Critics' Choice Award, though. So I have that in second. I think Flea is just, unfortunately, gonna get second or third in all 3 of its nominations. I loved Flea, but I don't think it's gonna win anything.
Doc feature, Summer of Soul keeps winning, except I didn't Attica win at the DGA, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But I just think Summer of Soul is the fun one. It's the one you have a smile on your face the whole time. Does anyone disagree with that?
No, and they love music documentaries.
Yeah. I think Flea has the best chance here. Like if voters want to give it something out of its 3 nominations, they might vote for it here. But Summer of Soul is another case where it just keeps winning stuff. So like I'm not going to go against that momentum.
International film, Drive My Car. Should we just move on?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to take away from Japan's win. That would be Japan's 5th overall win.
When you're the best picture and best director nominee in the bunch, you're going to win. Yes.
So now
1 minute to go. So
1 minute to go. What do you have for the shorts? I have Robin, Queen of Basketball, and The Long Goodbye, Denton.
I have Robin, The Queen of Basketball, and Alaka Chu. The Long Goodbye. If you have, what I would quickly tell people is go see the short films or see them however you can. It's the best way you can predict for yourselves. A lot of people voting, a lot of the experts, they haven't even seen them. They're just going with the flow. So on these 3 categories in particular, you can really do yourself a favor by just watching them. It helps a lot.
And Danielle?
My predictions are always the worst when I actually watch them and try to think about them. So I'm going with the odds. Robin, Queen of Basketball, Long Goodbye.
Well, that's what we think. What do you at home think? You have, a couple days left to make your Oscar predictions at goldderby.com. Go in there right now, make your predictions or update